You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 137. And my name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. With me co-hosting as usual is John, who is Trade You at Recess on Instagram. Hyung, however, is away this week, but filling in today is our good friend Will, back by popular demand. Thanks, Will, for dropping by as always.
It's great to be back. Great to see you guys.
I know some fans are excited to hear that you're with us for this episode. John, before we start the show with our off-the-top segment, since you've been away for a couple of shows, we didn't get a chance to ask you, our resident hockey podcast host, your initial thoughts on Connor Bedard most likely going to the Chicago Blackhawks when the draft happens. What do you think? You think it's going to make it's a big deal for him to go to the Blackhawks if it matters at all? And what impact do you think it'll have for the hobby?
Yes. I think it's huge, man. It's so big that so many hockey people were saying that the draft was rigged. And, of course, Chicago Blackhawks get Bedard,
right.
Right after they're losing Taves and Kane and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's huge. You like as a fan, I mean, if you're not a Chicago Blackhawks fan, I get it. You guys know that Patrick Kane is one of my all-time favorite players, so I do have a bit of a bias towards Chicago. So I think it's pretty cool to see him go there, and for the hobby, like that's what you want to see, right? You want to see your studs going to a major team. Like you don't want to, no offense to Arizona, but I don't think most people want to see Bedard going to Arizona or one of the cities that are just not on the radar for mainstream hockey, right? So it's a huge thing for the hobby, and Bedard in general. I mean, I listened to the episode that you guys were kind of chatting about him.
Yeah.
Ever since the pandemic started, like NHL has not had the studs up in the top 5 picks during this hobby hype. And I think hockey has been starved for a big time marquee player. And this is it right here. So Bedard is going to get all of the attention, all of the hype, Wembanyama, all of that stuff. It's going right to hockey. So this is like, hockey fans, everybody, it's going to be good, but at the same time, a little bit of warning. I would not, unless you're ripping packs and you happen to hit Bedard. But for me, as much as I'm a fan of the kid and I've seen him play, and you guys, we watch World Juniors and all of that stuff, he looks all the bit legit. But man, that initial drop, the hype on his cards is going to be incredible. Like his junior cards, his like Hockey Canada cards, which normally do not fetch that much of a premium. They're going for it big time money right now. So
oh really?
You can only imagine, and fast forward, like what is Sidney Crosby's Hockey Canada card worth? What is, McDavid's Erie Otters card worth? Like not that much, right? But when you see Bedard's going for like thousands, like 1,000, 2,000, 2,500, 3,500, it's pretty wild, man. So yeah, when his Young Guns comes out, when his SP Authentic comes out, it's going to be a wildfire.
I feel like since the hobby hype, there was that Alexis Lafreniere, right? Yeah. Like, and he didn't really pan out. Yeah. I know the comparison's not good. I think we can all agree Bedard's talent's way better, but there was that hype. But how would you compare Bedard with McDavid in terms of the hype level coming into the league?
For me, like, my brother and I, we talk about this quite a bit, and he's starting to become convinced that Bedard is on the generational scale. I'm not quite there yet. But I think he's well above. He is all the bit legit. So we're talking, like, I kind of put him on that, like A+ star, not the A++ generational, but kind of like your Steve Yzerman, your Austin Matthews, like, maybe in between McDavid and Austin Matthews, somewhere in between. I'm a little concerned with his size. That's it. It's one thing to be sniping, and like even like Ryan Nugent Hopkins, Lafreniere, these guys with smaller builds like Jonathan Drouin, they can have stellar World Juniors, but when it comes to
Right.
the pros and you're playing against grizzled men, I think Bedard's size kind of concerns me. So I want to. It's a bit of a wait and see. I want to see how he does against grown men.
Yeah.
The difference between, like, for example, like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he had a stellar World Juniors career and he didn't really pan out. Too big the difference, and Nugent-Hopkins actually carved out a pretty good career for himself.
Sure.
But Bedard's got the shot. He's got that nasty release. So we'll see what happens. I'm not quite there yet. I got to see at least 1 year, and then I can make a better assessment. But yeah.
All right. Yeah, appreciate the hockey talk input.
Wait.
I
have a question.
Sure.
I have a question.
Okay.
So what is the future for the Blackhawks over the next couple of years without Bedard? What does the team look like? Because they're just Taze and Kane are gone now. So is there just like a complete vacuum of talent?
Yeah, they're in full rebuild. So it's
so they're going to suck for a few years.
It's probably going to look a little bit ugly for the first foreseeable future. Yeah, give it
So it's
a couple of years at least.
So it's like a Penguins build. Like, you're not just getting Crosby, you're getting Malkin, you're getting
yes,
yeah, Marc-Andre Fleury, just like hoarding number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, it's funny enough. Penguins were in is such a similar scenario where actually for Penguins they were close to folding completely. Remember
I remember
the
that.
Jim Balsillie and Waterloo and all of that stuff. And then lo and behold, right as they're about to fold, they get number 1 pick for generational player Sidney Crosby. Like,
in the script.
Back then people were saying, "Oh, it's so rigged." Like, of course he's going to Pittsburgh, who's about to fold.
Yeah. If anyone's going to rig, it's gonna be what's his face, that dirty faced man. What's his name?
Gary
Bettman. Yeah, he's the sleaziest of all.
All right. Well, if that's the case, we know exactly how the Blackhawks are going to turn out in the next 5 years. They're going to be Stanley Cup contenders.
It's a bye.
They're going to get number 1 overall next year, who's going to be some ridiculous stud, and then they're going to go all the way.
Right. Okay, well, you heard it here first on this podcast. All right, so off the top today, I just want to talk about Panini America because it hasn't been a good week for them, hasn't been a good month for them.
Oh boy.
And if you haven't heard, first, their offices in Texas were robbed, right? Sustaining thousands of dollars in damages, as well as having their computer system knocked offline. I don't know if you got the email. I got an email from Panini America saying their customer service is down. And now I know why, because they got robbed over the long US weekend. There are questions also of what cards and even redemptions that might have been stolen. That's going to be a big deal once that information comes out. Well, speaking of redemptions, just last week or a couple weeks ago, a collector named Carl Zhu mentioned on social media that he submitted a redemption for a 1-of-1 Jason Tatum Logo Man card more than 4 years ago. And he said he was still waiting for the redemption to be fulfilled until one day he saw someone list that card he was waiting for on eBay. Right? And I believe we're still waiting to hear if Panini can explain what happened there. And of course, in a couple of years, Panini is about to lose its NBA license and the NBA Players Association license. So the question for you guys is simply, do you think this is the beginning of the end for Panini America, or can Panini turn things around? What do you guys think?
I think Panini is trash. I've always felt that way. But it's also because
Right.
I missed the years of collecting when Panini came into power and into, like, built up a presence. So I care nothing. I think, what's it called? Prism is such an ugly, like, the border's ugly. I think
Right.
the cards look ugly. It's such a thick border. It shows so little of the image. I'm just not a fan of Panini products unless it's Donruss Optic,
Right?
because that's got the rated rookie, right? So I like that because that's kind of like old school, that logo and whatever. But Panini in general, like, I'm just not. I'm glad they're losing their license. Like, I'm all for Tops and Bowman and all that stuff. So
okay, honest opinion. And you mentioned the border thing before about the Panini card design.
It's so awful.
How about you, John?
I think by default, I have not been a fan of Panini because of all the stories that I hear. So through others' pain, I have become like a bit of a Panini hater. And I mean, because I think for the three of us, we rip open baseball more than anything. And generally basketball in the past, anything Panini product has been just, even football has just been way too expensive to rip. So I don't think the three of us sitting here really have experienced some of the pains of actual Panini customers, whether it's redemptions or dealing with their customer service, but we all heard the stories and we all know how bad it can get. So, I mean, this is, people use, you may have mentioned it, Clark, but people have been using the word fiasco. Like, this is a fiasco. I don't know what's going on. It's to the point where you hear stories about computers being knocked offline, robberies happening, like quote unquote robberies happen. I don't even know the truth anymore. Like during COVID in the Toronto area and stuff, like a lot of restaurants were quote unquote on fire, like completely. You never see a restaurant ever burn to the ground, and all of a sudden there's like 12 restaurants burned to the ground, and those are insurance claims, right? So you don't know what to believe, and at the same time, as much as we want to maybe negatively assume all of this is a little questionable and we don't know the intentions and what the heck is going on, Panini at the same time as a business, they don't want to devalue their business because perhaps they were in the motion to try and sell or to, so they want the highest, business valuation, right? So, man, either way, this is bad, man. I don't know, the one of one redemption thing, if that story is true, because we don't know if it's actually true, if it's just some guy just saying that stuff, and the stories of the being knocked offline and the burglary and what we just talked about. I don't know, man. This is rough on Panini. I don't know what's going to happen here, but it's in terms of the hobby and their brand. I don't know if it can get any worse than this. This is pretty rough.
So
it's John, pretty bad.
Yeah, John mentioned the conspiracy, right? Like this little conspiracy hot take that Panini set themselves on fire. Either to draw attention away from the fact that one of their employees is stealing redemption cards or whatever.
The timing is very suspect.
Yeah. But I have an even better conspiracy.
Oh, here we go.
It wasn't Panini that broke into Panini. It was Fanatics that broke into Panini to devalue Panini. So that Panini's like, oh man, like nobody trusts us in the hobby. Nobody likes us. Will from Cards to the Moon keeps ragging on us in the podcast.
You know what?
We need to sell. Yeah. What were you going to say?
I'm going to just add to that conspiracy theory because I forgot to mention. This is getting interesting. I forgot to mention that there is a lawsuit with between Panini and Fanatics because remember some key employees from Panini went to work for Fanatics, and then there's a lawsuit that Fanatics is poaching their best employees, right? And the last thing I heard of that was that lawsuit is put on hold while they figure certain things out, right?
Incredible.
Listen, the employees that they all of a sudden got, right? They probably got some key information about how Panini works because the burglary, if you didn't hear, none of the alarms were tripped.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, the conspiracy theories.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, time out. Before we continue, I'm not a lawyer, but we have to let everyone know that we do not actually believe in any of these things that we're saying, and we're not presenting them as fact. We're just making up fun stories. But
good disclaimer.
That's pretty good, Clark. That is pretty good.
These employees are going George Costanza.
I like how you said key information, like literally the information as to where the keys are to enter into the building.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
man.
this is all in jest. But back to being a little bit more serious. You know, it's to the point where Panini's got to be probably sold sooner or later, right? It reminds me, we talked about this in our last week's episode, I think, with Hyung and I about PWCC. They got screwed over by their collateralized program when, you know, they lent out a bunch of loans and kept the cards as collateral, but then of course those card values got just started to plummet, and then the people that took out the loans are like, keep my cards, I'd rather keep the money and default. And, you know, so PWCC was in a tough situation. It just seems like this is the trajectory of Panini. Like, they're going to be, if not already, in a really tough situation, and their best way out might be just to be acquired by Fanatics.
Right.
It seems like they're the one best position to take over.
Right.
But who knows? Who knows? This is a funny business, a funny industry. Anything can happen. But it's been a rough time for Panini, that's for sure.
Yep.
Maybe it's because Succession, the series finale, just happened. I don't know if you guys watch Succession.
Yeah,
maybe I'm like
I
just
do.
super into like all these kind of little conspiracy things, and it's just like what if the financial backers for PWCC are in cahoots with some company,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
what if like the media organizations that are presenting some of these facts are in cahoots with one specific company, and this company is now taking over the whole card hobby world.
And there's like some secret board, and it just came down to one vote.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Don't
Sorry, I didn't say what happened.
Sports
but
sports
it was-
card Illuminati. Let's go.
I would collect Succession cards. Fanatics.
Yeah, and,
Fanatics, get on it. Give me a 101 Kendall Roy.
Logan Roy is going to be
Logan
the prize,
Roy.
I think.
John
Yeah.
has no idea
Anyway.
what we're talking about.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
You have to watch it. It's such a great show.
What is it on? What
Oh
platform?
man, HBO.
HBO. Yeah, I don't have that.
HBO Max. Yeah, Crave for us Canadians.
Oh.
I watched it through Crave. All right. Anyway, back on topic. We'll see what happens with Panini. Hopefully they can get out of it. Hopefully there's a good story out of this. But we'll keep an eye out on all the loose end developments that are taking place right now. And when we hear more, we'll talk about it in our next podcast episode. All right, let's move on to our next segment we call Hobby Headlines. So for today's show, I thought instead of just focusing on all the bad things about the hobby, what are some things we'd like to see happen in the hobby that would make collecting cards a better experience? That's the kind of question I want to ask you guys. What would make collecting cards more fun and even grow the hobby base as Fanatics says they want to do? So I can start by giving a quick example. We talked about this before, but Fanatics, Topps, Panini, if they're still around after all this, my one advice or my one suggestion is you got to make less parallels. All right, especially of rookie cards. There are just too many to keep track of, and for the investors, it ultimately, I believe, devalues most of the rookie cards. Right? There's only going to be one or two that's worth something. All the rest, trash. And for the collector, you know, good luck trying to collect the whole set if that's what you're into, right? Because there's so many parallels. I don't know if you've seen some of Scotty B Cards, our hobby friend, his latest videos about like how many parallels there are for certain modern baseball sets. It's just insane. And it's just impossible to try to collect a whole set. I know, Will, you're trying to do that with Hyung Jin-Ryu. I don't know how you're keeping up with all the parallels for his cards, but there's just so many. Maybe it's fun to chase all of it, but I'm sure it could drain your wallet for certain players. But anyway, yeah, my suggestion is to make less parallels for Fanatics. You know, try to keep that in mind, and also Topps. This is a personal request from me. You know, stop adding home field advantage SSP sets. All right, like I'm trying to finish the set, and there's a new one out. Like again, 2023. I thought it was a one-off, 1 year. You know, and then now there are three more coming up. You know, Series 1, Series 2, and update for 2023. So I'm not even done 2022 yet, but I think I'm gonna stop with 2022 because that's the inaugural home field advantage set. But anyway, I have another one, but I'm gonna throw it to you guys. You have any suggestions? Any hobby wish lists that you want to talk about?
Yeah. Let me go first. I'll go first. I'm with you, man. I'm parallels. Yeah, they've gotten pretty annoying now. I would be, even if I couldn't buy a box and I couldn't afford it, I would be 100% okay with the flagship Chrome product, whether it's Prism or Topps for baseball, being a lot more limited, like a Sapphire. I would prefer that. And if it's $1,000 a box and I can't afford it, I'm still okay with that. I like, as a hobbyist, as a part of the sports card, the hobby and the culture, I would prefer that rather than seeing the flagship product being like printed galore. As we move forward, I think I've said this too many times, but no more freaking sticker autos. That's number one. The more I complain about it and the more I look at sticker autos, I think before I let it slide and I was like, you know what? It makes sense. Logistically, they have to do it. So I'm okay with it. But now it just bothers me too much. Like we're way past it where we don't need to do that anymore. And, especially when we're getting into Fanatics, I think they will, I've heard that they may be planning to do this and maybe they already kind of have, but any game used or relic, at least put on where it came from. Like, I think that would be such a great touch. This is Ohtani's game used jersey from April 2nd, 2023 at the, Angels versus White Sox or something. At least some kind of detail where that jersey comes from. That would be awesome. And I think something like that would make it better. I don't think it would make relics better enough. So this is another one, is if you're going to make hits, quote unquote hits, you guys, these companies should know well enough now what a hobbyist considers a hit and what is not a hit. Like a relic card non-auto is not a hit. You cannot pass that as a hit on a $200, $300, $400, $500 box. That is nonsense. Like, you got to put in automatic autos. If it's one auto, how they say maybe one auto? I think it now should be one auto, maybe more autos. I think that should be the standard for like a hobby box. So that's what I can think of for now. I'll keep thinking as you guys are talking.
It's a good one. I will just add, like, I think Probstein, or I can't remember where I saw it, but they were talking about the difference between game used relics and player worn.
Player worn,
right?
yeah.
Like, the player worn is where
they go to the
they
event.
could just be wearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do some signings, but they're wearing it while they're doing signings, and then they'll take that jersey and then they'll cut it up, and that's player worn, as opposed to game used, like you were just explaining earlier. Like, if they're in a game, if they could somehow label it on this specific game, against this team. So that's the difference. And my suggestion would be get rid of the player worn relics. Like, come on, that's kind of, it doesn't really add value to the card. I don't think it's any cooler especially if I knew that he wore it to an autograph event in Ohio somewhere, and that's the patch I got in the card, right? So I prefer game used, and maybe then that could be considered a hit if it starts to get around that. Oh, this is actually a patch card from that no hitter that Shohei threw.
Right.
You know what I mean? Something like that. Anyway,
I remember seeing I can't remember which player it was, but somebody had game used relic auto, and there was blood on the jersey. It's like, it's so disgusting and so awesome at the same time.
That's the one I want.
Yeah.
Got DNA there. Yeah.
I think a while back, I think it was John, you said it'd be cool if there was some sort of like was not a barcode. What's that code? QR code. Where it like shows you where that game, like what game it was, and like some of the data, and how maybe with Fanatics coming in, that's something that they could do. I think like that would make game use so much more valuable, so much more of an actual hit, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Like, because even like, I don't know, they're so, it's like lawyer speak, like player worn, and it's like they're wearing 40 jerseys for 5 seconds. And it's like I feel like it could be like, oh yeah, player worn, but we didn't specify which player. It was actually, Taylor Heineman wearing a Bo Bichette jersey. It's like, well, I don't want that. Or like game use. It's like, oh, it's a game of pickleball that they were playing on an off day. Like, like I hate that they're so lawyery in all their phrasing and stuff like that. So a little bit more clarity. And I think that QR code, transparency would be really cool. For me, my hobby fixes are more on the selling side. As a Canadian, it's so tough to sell. And there's so many extra charges. And there's HST, which is killer. Yeah, it's just so much of that I hate. So it's hard to sell on eBay Canada. Especially down to the States, and you have all the what's called duties and all that
import fees.
And then when I go to Facebook groups, it's like I think I talked about this one time before, but it's like I hate having to scroll through like the garbage that people are posting. Like I just saw a post today. Some person, they just joined the group, and within the first like 5 minutes, they blasted like 15 different posts with like the worst taken pictures, and like half of them were like overpriced, and the other half were like, I just found these in my garage. I don't know what they're worth, $500. And you look, and it's like, oh, 1991 Upper Deck baseball, and like, and they're like, how much is it? How much is it? And it's just like, I can't believe I have to scroll through all this garbage when I'm trying to find some higher end stuff or some, like mid stuff. So I wish there was a better way to sell. Like Facebook could be a good platform, but there's just too much trash to weed through. And then my thing that I always felt was like, we always talk in our WhatsApp group about upcoming shows, and because we're all family men, we invariably never get to go to the show for as long as we want to. It's always like, like 3 months before the event, it's like, yeah, I'm going all 3 days. And then 2 months before the event, it's like, yeah, 2 days for sure. And then a week before, it's like, I don't know, I might come for like 2 hours. My kid has a swimming lesson. Maybe I can go in between for 32 minutes. Like I did the GPS. And I got 17 minutes that I can spend in there. And so like, I always thought it'd be nice if like you could have some sort of like virtual card show, where it's like, a vendor can just either take a picture or upload on some sort of database. Hey, these are the cards that I have. Virtually come by my table, and if you see something you like, send me a message. And then I can like message them and be like, hey, like I really like that Bo Bichette card. I have this Juan Soto card. Would you be interested? And then you can like kind of talk through that. So I wish there was something like that would just make buying, selling, trading a little bit easier. Even if it was just like a local
I like
thing.
that.
Yeah, like a local virtual show. Or if it was like tacked on to the actual card show.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if Sports Card Expo did that or if it was another show during the height of the pandemic when no one could go out. So they had these virtual rooms that you can go to. Essentially, those rooms would be effectively virtual booths. Right? So they did have something like that, but of course the user experience wasn't the greatest. It was kind of like an experiment. But I think if they had developed more on that, now that everything's opened up, they kind of like, okay, we don't need this anymore. But I would think that if you're if you had a booth, that would just be added business for you if you could do it well, right? Yeah. Like you would have more eyeballs on your inventory. You just don't need people to come necessarily in person. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and like you could if you could do some sort of database too, like you could take a picture of your cards, right? And just upload that. And then people can sift through photos, kind of like when we walk through booths. But you could also put up like the names of the cards. So it's like you could write like, Alex Verdugo, rookie autograph.
Right.
And then like, let's say I'm on this virtual site, I can just type in Alex Verdugo and it'll take me to all the booths that have a card. I don't know. I just feel like it would be so much simpler.
No, I feel like there's bits and pieces of that technology on different platforms. It's not like all in one place. Arena Club kind of does something similar to that, where you could showcase your own collection.
Yeah.
But you got to do the work of vaulting it there or
Right.
uploading the photos. I don't know if they do it, but you still have to do a lot of work. I guess you got to do it anyways, but because it's all over the place, like you wouldn't know to go to Arena Club to check that out because everyone just goes on eBay online, right? Or My Slaps for other cards. Like there's no one place. Maybe Fanatics will fix it. Maybe that's a good thing if Fanatics does become a monopoly. It's like we're a one-stop shop for all your needs. Maybe that'll be one thing, but then again, no one likes monopolies too. So I don't know what the solution
unless it's
is.
Monopoly Prism.
That would make sense. All right. I like that one though. I like it, and I totally agree with you with being in Canada, really being anywhere outside the U.S.
Yeah.
International collectors are kind of a little screwed over in terms of shipping and all the duties and taxes that go with it. It's we got to fix that problem if we really want this hobby to be international. That's what I think.
I got another one.
Okay.
And it's a 2-part because it's both on the player and the company. I'm starting to get tired of seeing the lazy autos. I think Cardport and Lamine James featured the latest one, which was
right.
this Detroit Pistons Sadiq Bey. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he's now signing his autos with a line. It's just a little small line. Like that.
That's ridiculous.
How could you not even put your initials? Like that is ridiculous. So that's, for me, on the player side, that is like completely unacceptable. And on the company side, because you got to kind of feel for these players, like they're signing. Panini's gonna send them. Here's a bunch of cards.
Yeah,
it's
thousands.
It's not even a bunch of cards. It's like boxes upon boxes upon like thousands of autos that they got to sign within 30 days or whatever. So I think on the same flip side, as we're talking about print runs and stuff like that, I think they should start making autos a lot more rare, and that comes with a print run too, right? If you want it to be a hit where it's one a box or one per hobby box, then make the print runs a lot shorter, man. Like don't be, because even at this point, Bowman First, like the king of baseball, like you guys may or may not agree, but I kind of starting to feel this way. Like base autos are kind of getting cheapened because there's just so many of them, like these kids are signing. How many base autos are there? I don't know. Like, do they sign 1,500 of them? Do they sign 2,500 of them? Like, that's a lot of autographs. And then you get to the refractor and it's still signing 500, Right. So I think any on-card auto should be pretty limited in general. And I think that'll help even the players. Like, if the players only quote unquote, only have to sign 1,000 autos, I'm sure that would certainly help over signing 10,000 autos or signing 25,000 autos, right? So it goes both ways. Like this is the result, Panini and Topps, like you're seeing the result of sending 50,000 cards to a player. Like they're going to start signing like tack, like Shohei Ohtani. He changes the autograph,
Right.
Like players are changing their autographs because they're tired.
True. Yeah. You've seen that. And Ronald Acuna, same thing.
Right.
Changed his autograph a bit.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Hyun Ryu signs a ton because he's one of my saved search lists on eBay. And I feel like maybe because he's been signing so much, that's what contributed to his elbow tightness and his Tommy John surgery. So we gotta protect.
It's
we gotta
possible.
protect our athletes.
Seriously,
Carpal
Topps,
tunnel.
you screwed us over.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's all right. I got one more too. I guess with the state of the economy, I'm always looking to buy, but I'm liquidating all my collection. I just actually got rid of. I think I mentioned this already. I sold my Luka Doncic Silver Prism at a loss. Speaking of Panini cards, I fell into the trap of the lure of Prism because everyone wanted it during the hobby hype, and then everyone's just selling like crazy. So I sold mine. I also sold my Jason Tatum Green Prism the other day. I actually made a little bit of profit there. Luckily, I sold it right before the Celtics lost to the Heat, so it was just good timing.
Perfect time.
So I have some, cash to play with to try to invest in another Grail card this year, hopefully to add to my Mike Trout Bowman Chrome Auto. But I know for a lot of collectors, even for myself, really, tough to buy a lot of cards with the state of the economy. So my suggestion, more trade nights. I'm sure, it's a great way to freshen up your collection, get to know other collectors. I'm sure it's more common in the States, right? Like here, I know Mint Ink does a monthly one. Yeah, and I got to check one of those out for sure. I haven't had the chance, but yeah, just a simple solution. Anyone that has an LCS in their neighborhood, in their community, just to really open up their shop to have trade nights. And I think that, while we're in this bear economy, bear market, this could kind of keep the hobby a little bit, at least relevant still, while people are slowing down on their buying.
I like it. Yeah,
I want to do this list because, I'm sure if someone from Fanatics is listening, take these ideas as you please. and hopefully we see some of these ideas incorporated because, some of these are actually pretty good ones, I think. All right, let's move on to our next segment. We did this last week, actually. Hyung and I did this last week. It's called Would You Rather? I thought it was fun when we did it last time. And since we have 2 new players, Will and John, we'll do another round of Would You Rather. And it's kind of a variation of our Pick 1 segment. But this is kind of more general hobby topics. I'm going to give you 2 choices. And you guys choose which one would you rather have or do. Okay? All right. First one is, would you rather have a PC card that is incredibly off-centered, or have a PC card that has 4 dinged corners?
Oh, it's ugly.
You gotta choose.
I was listening to the week that I missed, and I think you guys did something similar, right? It was regarding like min gem, which of the 4 quadrants would you rather have the 9 on?
Right.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's kind of similar. PC card. If it's a modern card, especially like Topps Chrome, generally Topps Chrome, I mean, up until recently, wasn't using squared off borders, so being off-centered wasn't as noticeable. Because for me personally, on newer cards, especially paper, if it's the card is like a red card or a black card and you see the whitening on the corner, that bothers me so much. I get OCD on that, like, big time. Right. So generally, I think I'm more on I hate the ding corners from the off center. But if we're talking really off centered, like the miscut or whatever the identification is. I mentioned before, I was starting to kind of hunt for Jackie Robinson, and
yeah,
if I think of it in that terms, in a vintage perspective, I'm definitely a lot more okay with dinged corners. I mean, any of those vintage cards, like dinged corners is going to happen regardless, but I would be okay with really soft corners versus super off center. So
okay,
I don't know. It's tough. I think I hate dinged corners the most, but for a PC card, I'll go really off centered. I wouldn't want really really off centered. But I don't know. So, it goes both ways. Like modern, I wouldn't want the ding corners, but like vintage, I wouldn't want it
just like Hyung.
This is a
I don't know what
this is a pure John and Hyung move. I lay out the rules, and then they go ahead and break the rules of the game.
Gosh.
Okay, so modern, you're okay with the off centered.
Yeah. And then vintage, I'm okay with ding corners.
Okay.
Did you see that one-on-one hit? What was a basketball hit? Who was it? I think Cade Cunningham.
Paulo Banchero.
Oh, was it Paulo? Yeah. Where it's like super OC.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like making fun of it.
Right?
Yeah. Like, that's awful. So, I mean, that's my answer. I hate centering issues. Like, if it's 60-40, 65-35, then it's okay. But yeah. Clark just posted
that's rough.
Just shared the image
just put it up.
of the Paulo one. Yeah, it's like so OC. Like, that bothers me so much. I think for me, soft edges is just like, it's how I grew up playing with cards, or like interacting with my cards. Even when I got back into the hobby, when I first joined up with you guys in the WhatsApp group, I found like a whole bunch of cards in like my parents' basement. And one of the cards I found was this 1990 Marvel, The Thing. And it was like literally like an oval because the corners were so soft. But I looked at it, and actually the other day I was like, should I just send it out for grading to just encapsulate? And then I realized, that makes no sense because I hate grading, and I don't really care to keep it from getting any more damage. But like when I look at that card, I love it, and I think for PC I'm much happier with the soft edges. And then like John's saying, if it's vintage, like OC looks bad, soft edges just looks like, to me it's like, yeah, that's just the way cards are supposed to end up. Yeah, so I'm
all right. Interesting.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't relate to your early days collecting at all because
because we're the exact opposite.
We're opposite. Like even when I was a kid, it would go sleeve top loader immediately. So when you say when I used to interact with my cards, I'm like, what does that mean? Like play with it like an airplane, like.
I literally used to have my Marvel cards like fight each other. Like physically fight each other.
Oh man, I would be yelling at you at 10 years old.
Oh yeah. Like if my kids do that,
what are you doing?
Like I let my daughter play with some Pokemon cards, but only because I knew that they were like base, common, like zero value. But even the way she was playing with them, I was like, that's a little too rough. Let's preserve the integrity of the card, please.
Yeah, that's how my son treats his Pokemon cards too. I bought him one of those like 800 count white boxes to like organize.
Yeah.
And then a day later when I opened it, all the cards were like scrambled inside, and he's like shaking it up and down. Yeah. I'm like, why did I buy this box for you? This is not how you organize cards. But anyway, for me, I hate both, obviously, but I'd rather have the off-center. The ding corners are kind of would bug me too much. The whitening, yeah. So off-center for me. Even that Polo Banchero, I don't know. There's so much in that design. It's like, maybe it was on purpose. It's like maybe it was an artistic decision by the card manufacturer to do it this way. So whereas like whenever I drop a card, and it hits the corner, that's like my heart skips a beat. You know what I mean? Like it's just that dinged corner effect. So for me, it's I'd rather have the card that's off center. Okay, next one. Would you rather open one hobby box or 10 blasters?
So I've done both many times.
And which one gave you more pleasure?
You know what? It depends on what I was like trying to go for. I really like the channel Striker Breaks. He breaks down a lot of baseball, and he shows statistical data that says that in the hobby we say hangers are bangers, because in the hangers you can get a lot more color and like parallels.
Yeah.
Like this is only for baseball, because I think basketball they don't put hits into retail, right?
Right.
But for baseball, it's like like some 1-of-1 got found in a Walgreens pack for like $2, like a fat pack for like $3, right? So you could hit anything in there. So I have a lot of fun ripping blasters. And hobbies, I'm very much like hobbies are the thing I open the most, and it's the most disappointing because I never get the auto. I always get the relic.
That's rough.
Yeah, I always get the relic. So I'm just always, it's like, I have the same chance of getting an auto from 10 blasters as I do one hobby box, which is 0 autos.
Right. So you rather have the 10 blasters because you at least get other stuff.
Oh, shoot. No, I was sticking with the hobby because I like the idea of out of 10 clear. That's like hobby has out of 10 clear in baseball. So I like that. Yeah. But if it was something else, like another sport, I would probably rip the retail, like the blasters.
Gotcha.
When I was first ripping quite a bit, it was like early 2020 when like the Luis Robert Topps Chrome Bo Bichette year came out. That was the height of grading, right? Like where base would be, Bo Bichette base was going for like 200 USD. And it made so much sense to grade for $22 US. And then you would immediately flip big profits. And blasters were, at that time, were so fun because even just hitting those base cards, like if I opened 10 blasters, I could potentially hit 4 or 5 Luis Roberts, 5, 6 Bo Bichettes, Yordan Alvarez, a bunch. And you're like, in terms of ROI, at that time, it was amazing, right? And then hobby may or may not hit a base card of a particular player, right? You're really paying that incredible premium for the auto or whatever the hit is, the color in the box. Now, I mean, either way, I think it's such a losing proposition. The prices are so high, whether it's, like a giant flawless case at $8,000 or it's a Walmart blaster box at $40, your return on investment is probably like 5%, like even if you were to get a hit, it's like you're making your money back. It's incredible. Like these guys are opening up flawless boxes and they're like screaming at the top of oh yeah, like logo man, how much do you think that's worth? It's like, oh, it's probably worth like $6,000. It's like you don't even make your money back on like the greatest hit in the box, right? So I don't know. I think with all that being said, it's a little tough because usually I mean I don't know, like a lot of the times now what's become popular is the case hit, right? And case hits generally come from the hobby boxes, but I think because they started to make, I don't know if they make Kabooms or Downtown's a part of, I think they do, right? A part of like the retail hits.
Yeah, I got Kabooms at retail.
Yeah, I'm when it comes down to just ripping and having fun, I'm gonna give the edge. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm still gonna give the edge to Blaster because you're getting more packs. You still have a decent chance at getting hits. And it's just more ripping. Like that's what's fun about it. More ripping and having a chance at something nice, right? So I'm gonna give the edge to Blaster, but I feel like that's an unpopular opinion.
No, that's why I put it together, because with the blaster boxes, that's definitely the appeal. You rip a ton more packs than a one hobby box, right? But the flip side, why I put it together is like you could get nothing out of the blaster box too. Right. Like I've ripped a lot of blasters over the years, and my success rate with blasters are like 0.00007%. You know what I mean? And hobby box, you get one. But it's an autograph, but it's like an autograph of Eli Morgan, a long relief pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, you know what I mean? So
it sounded really personal.
It could be a true story, but I'm still going with the one hobby box. I'd rather be guaranteed a hit and versus having just piles of cards with nothing in them from the many blasters I've opened. So one hobby box for me. All right. This is a similar one that I did last week with Hyung. It's really, well, let me tell you what it is. Would you rather have a 2023 Bowman Chrome purple refractor card numbered to 250? Or would you rather have a 2023 Bowman Chrome blue lunar refractor numbered to 150?
Wait, what?
Brand new. Parallel.
I've never even heard of blue lunar.
I gotta quickly look up blue lunar.
Yeah, it's like those craters on the moon. You know what I mean? But
this is a part of Bowman baseball.
Yes, 2023 Bowman this year. Yeah. So it's kind of like what I asked Hyung was like, would you rather like the red lava number to 5,
right,
or a true orange number to 25?
I was like, when I was listening to that episode, I was like, oh, that's such a tough one.
Well, which one? Okay, which one you chose quickly on that one? Because I chose red lava and Hyung chose orange, actually.
I think the true color, unless the colors clash with the team.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I
went the other way. The red lava was a color match. The choice I gave with Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh yeah, I would go with the red lava for that one.
Okay.
I think I'm picking red lava too. I don't want to pick red lava, but it's
still
Bowman,
an out of 5.
In Bowman, the red, regardless of lava or whatever, lunar or whatever it is, it's still so strong that the color red, it just commands such a monster premium that I'll still pick the lava.
Oh, yeah. So this is why I kind of did it a little bit not as extreme.
Right.
The blue lunar, which is to 150, like all other blues, and then the true purple, which is 250, of course.
How many blues do they have then?
They have a blue lunar. I think they have a blue shimmer still, right?
And a true blue.
True blue.
I'm going
blue wave.
Ugh. Blue wave. Oh, I'm gonna go. Again, I kind of hate to go with this because you guys know the three of us were not really fans of all these new parallels, but I'm gonna go blue lunar because we're all collectors at heart, and we all know for sure in our PC we're not carrying a blue lunar or a purple probably, right? We're gonna we're gonna carry something different. So both of them are gonna be sold and they're gonna be traded away as quickly as possible. So if that's the case, I'm gonna go with the blue lunar because I think it'll command a little bit more money.
Okay.
Yeah, purple's a tough color. Like it's just
purple and green.
Yeah, purple and green and orange. Like it's just because it's out of 25.
Right.
I didn't know this until like 3 weeks ago. I was gonna put it into our WhatsApp chat. I didn't realize that the colors are in like correspondence to the rainbow. So it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue,
I see.
purple.
I didn't know that either.
Right?
I didn't. Yeah,
that's true.
Mind blown.
So that it makes sense. Like it makes sense why they made it like red out of 5, orange out of 25. But I'm just like, man, like you should not have done it like that. It should have been like gold should be
gold out of 5.
Yeah.
Right.
And like purple and green and orange could be like fighting at the end.
Yeah.
Did I blow your guys' mind? I didn't bring it up because I assumed everyone knew it and I didn't want to sound like an idiot. Like,
I had no idea.
Hey guys,
that makes so much sense.
Now everyone knows. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows. Nice.
But yeah.
So what are you choosing?
Oh, the blue. Purple.
The blue lunar?
I have a Acuna purple chrome auto. I'm just like, ugh, I can't wait to get rid of this.
All right. I guess I'm going to make it a little bit tougher next time. Something in between the red lava orange and the purple and blue lunar. But yeah, I'm going to go with the blue lunar as well. It could be Hobby Logic. It's lower numbered, but it could be a true purple could in some instances command more. I think I saw that a few times. Not with the blue lunar, but like other blue wave or you know what I mean?
Interesting.
Where the purple's higher. So but I'm going with the blue lunar as well. All right. Got a couple more. Would you rather have an autograph rookie card numbered to 999? So kind of let's use Connor McDavid SP Future Watch as an example just to get in your head. Or would you get an autograph non-rookie card of the same player, so let's say McDavid, numbered to 50 with a patch?
Like a second year, third year.
Yeah.
The cup patch.
Patch auto.
Right.
But non-rookie. But in lower serial number.
Right. Ooh. Man, now you have Connor McDavid in my head. So now I'm just strictly thinking hockey, and it's pretty easy decision when I'm thinking hockey. I'm trying to not be biased towards hockey and think about what would I think if this was basketball or baseball.
Okay, well with hockey is what? You're choosing the rookie?
I'm taking Future Watch for sure because Future Watch it's a thing, right? Like it's beyond just like a numbered out of 99 autograph. It's like that's sort of the main chase, right?
So yeah, generally speaking, I wasn't thinking Future Watch and
yeah.
Specifically for this example, but yeah.
Oh, that's tough. I think I'm generally speaking, you still have to go with the rookie auto numbered out of 99. Because even if you're to think of something like, Bowman first auto versus, refractor. It's numbered out of 499. Not the greatest example.
Higher number,
but Bowman first refractor versus, Topps Dynasty out of 10 or Topps Dynasty out of 50. I think most people still...
That's a good example.
I think people still pick, liquidity, all of that stuff in terms of like potential. I still think the rookie auto is the one to go with. So I'm going to go with the rookie auto.
Okay. Well,
I think John's last point is what convinced me because I hate high-end baseball. I think it's just really unattractive. And so,
Oh, you're not a fan of like Topps Dynasty?
no, like,
Oh, jeez.
I don't like. I don't know. Like, I wish it was like National Treasures. Like, that's the one thing about Panini that I like. I think their National Treasures is a really nice looking card. Mm-hmm. We just don't get that in baseball. I mean, there's unlicensed, and I am the king of unlicensed, but but yeah. So I'm gonna go with the out of 4.9 or out of 9.99.
Right. Okay, it's gonna be a sweep. I'm a sucker for rookie cards. It makes my collecting easier because I rarely look at non-rookies. But you know, I thought some people might get hung up on the patch auto and the lower numbered. Okay, last one. This is more psychological. Okay, so you gotta listen to this carefully. Would you rather once have had a card that you sold for $100, but it's now worth $10,000, versus would you rather have a card now that you bought for $100, but now it's worth $1?
Say that again.
Okay, so would you rather be in a situation, maybe that's a better wording, that where you once had a card that you sold for $100, so you don't have it anymore, you got $100, but now it's worth $10,000, right? But you have $100, or would you rather have a card that you bought for $100, but it's now worth $1?
Oh, I'm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So you spent the $100, you're down $100 in the second scenario, and it's worth essentially nothing.
Yeah. In
the first scenario, you have $100, but you know the card's worth $10,000 if you only had hold on to it.
Yeah. This is probably what makes me a bad investor. I would rather take that L and have a $1 card than have that pain of knowing I sold a $100 card and now it's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Because an investor would be like, hey, you take your W's where you can, but no, right. that would eat me alive for the rest of my life.
Okay, I like that. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, I'm 100% the same. Like, it would keep me up at night. I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah. Anytime somebody mentions, "Oh, what a beautiful card," you're like, "No, it's the worst card."
I might even stop collecting. Like, it's just like, now I'm done. I lost. I screwed it all up. I'm not participating anymore. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna up the ante, up the stakes. Okay. Would you rather have sold a car for $10,000? You got $10K, but it's worth $100K right now. Okay. Or would you have a car that you bought for $10K, but it's worth $100?
Ooh.
Same? Are you guys saying the same answer?
Oh, that one. I think that's different. I think that's different because now we're getting.
Okay.
Yeah. That one gets the wives involved. It's like, honey, I lost $10,000. It's like, oh, we're getting divorced.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, honey, I could have made this amount of money, but I still have $10,000 that I profited. So.
And then she's like, how much could you have made? 6 figures.
But at least I still have the $10K. Like, she could, in her anger, she'll buy herself a bag from Prada or whatever.
So
yeah,
at the end of the day, at both scenarios, you get personally $0.
Yeah. I lose no matter. I stay up all night. I don't sleep anymore.
Right. Okay.
It's all perspective. I think if we're like a millionaires and this is a drop in bucket. Obviously, this is as if it was question number 1. But $10,000 for us is a good chunk of change. So now for me, it certainly flips. I don't think I would selling something for $10,000 would be a big sell for me. And to know that card eventually turned into $100,000, I would certainly be aware that if I'm selling it right now, I know that there is that chance, but I'm going to sell it now. And mind you, I should be taking this mindset for question number 1 as well. But when we're talking minimal dollars, it's a lot different. So $10,000 is big enough that it for something that's $10,000 to go to $100, that's a little different.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going with the first scenarios. I'm a better investor than you guys. All right, I'm taking the win. And also, it really happened to me. My Mookie bets I sold for $65, and it went up to like 3-4K at one point. I know the pain. I know it. So I got to live with it. Hey, I got $65. All right. All right, that was another fun round of Would You Rather. We'll do it again. I'll think of some more scenarios. Always fun to think of these up. Yeah, all right. Let's finish off the show with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. So it's kind of like what we did, but we're going to choose or put up a couple of cards or sets, and then we debate which one we would rather invest in. All right, so John, do you want to start things off?
Yeah, let's do it. So in honor of hockey playoffs, we're going with two main studs on each finalist team. We're going Matthew Tkachuk, Future Watch Auto, PSA 10, last sold for $825 USD, versus Jack Eichel, Future Watch Auto, PSA 10, last sold for $850 USD. So right around the same mark. And you know, funny is, I was supposed to be on the show last week, and last minute, sorry, Clark, I bailed on you guys, but my 1v1 at that time, and this is just literally 7 days ago, was Matthew Tkachuk versus Tage Thompson, Future Watch Auto at $500. Matthew Tkachuk has gone to $850 in a matter of 7 days. So,
wow,
that's crazy.
I had to change it to Jack Eichel.
Okay, got it. You want to go first?
Yeah. I will base this on my limited understanding and knowledge. I saw Matthew Tkachuk on NHL on TNT interacting with Shaq and Chuck. So I'm going to go with him because I feel like he's got more personality. He's a son of a former player. I recognize the name. He was on Calgary. So I'm going to go with him.
Yeah,
it's actually a great point.
Yeah. Like he's recognizable. You know?
Yeah.
Like I know the name.
I didn't know this about Matthew Tkachuk. Speaking of just his connections in the past, like he went to same high school as Jason Tatum, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
That's crazy. I saw some video clip, so it's kind of funny, and even then you could see he had a personality. But I was always under the impression, and you could correct me, John, that like Jack Eichel has the higher ceiling.
Yes.
Am I wrong about that?
Or you're not.
So that's my decision. I'm going to go with Eichel because I feel like he has a higher ceiling. Like I don't remember when Tkachuk was drafted. I know he was drafted high, but I do remember when Jack Eichel was drafted, and with the Sabres, right? Mm-hmm. And just the expectations put on him, and it looks like he's playing for a much better team now. And I think he still could do great things in the league. So for that reason, I'm going to play the one with what I believe has the better ceiling in terms of value and career. So Jack Eichel for me.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys make good points. So you guys know a long time ago I was on the big Jack Eichel train. He is skill set wise the higher potential of the two. Jack Eichel, I mean, when you're watching him in juniors, he was every bit very similar to Austin Matthews. Like he is of that caliber. Now Matthew Tkachuk, I think people always thought he was sort of the hard-nosed, hits, fights if he needs to, can pot a couple of goals here and there, is going to kind of turn into like a 80, 85 point, 100 PIM kind of player. Exactly what you want for a Stanley Cup playoff winning team. But again, I think people are underestimating who Matthew Tkachuk is. This guy is literally scoring over 100 points a season, whether it's with Calgary or it's with Florida. He's still doing it. He's completely underrated. And, for Leaf fans, we witnessed Matthew Tkachuk in person to dominate us. Like every play, he touches the puck, he wins puck battles, he makes, he bothers our players. Like he does everything correctly that you'd want in a playoff performance. So now it becomes a lot more even because I think Jack Eichel has that high ceiling. But hey, I think Tkachuk also, you're looking at the high ceiling. And I always wanted Matthew Tkachuk because I used to have Brady Tkachuk and I wanted the two cards together. And then I traded the Brady and that kind of derailed my wanting the two together, obviously. And dude, back then the Kachuk, I mean, this is like a month ago or 2 months ago. It was like you could have got his Future Watch auto for $300,
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So I think the tiebreaker here, because we're talking two high-end talents, they're both in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And let's put a little caveat here. Nobody should buy these cards right now because they're at the peak value. So we're not saying buy it right now. It's just for the sake of argument, 1v1. I like Will's point about Matthew Tkachuk, his personality. He's being featured like TNT basketball. I think that's a good thing. And Jack Eichel, if you guys know, like he doesn't come off well. He comes off cocky. He's a little smug, and like people generally don't kind of like his attitude and his personality, even off, like on interviews. So I think that is a big tiebreaker in terms of likability in the hobby. So of the two guys, Will's going to be that tie-breaking comment, and it's going to be Matthew Tkachuk for me.
Kudos to Will.
I'm here for all the hockey takes.
Love it. All right, good one. Will, you want to go next?
So mine is actually they're both sold within the last month. So my pick one is Shohei Ohtani's 2018 Bowman Chrome Red Refractor Auto out of 5. It's the one where he's throwing. I believe that's his first auto, right? That's why we love this one so much.
The most valuable.
Yeah, and it was sold for $276,000 in a PSA 9 grade versus the 1954 Topps Hank Aaron PSA 8.5 that just sold for $204,000. So obviously this is not geared towards us as regular collectors and investors, but it just like it's kind of fun to imagine we're billionaires. We have Jeff Bezos money and we're thinking like, which card do I want to have and keep? A couple other details. The Ohtani has sold the same Ohtani card has sold 4 times through Golden. December 2021, 312,000. June of 2022, 240,000. October of 2022, 276, and then just in May, like just this past month, 276,000 again. The Hank Aaron, there's 2 PSA 10s, there's 25 PSA 9s, and then there's 8 PSA 8.5. So that's like the top 35, right? There are also 5 SGC 9s, 9 SGC 8.5s, there's 2 BGS 8.5s, and there's one HGA 9.5.
Ooh.
Wait, you guys didn't catch that? I said there's a HGA 9.5 of a 1954 and Karen, and you guys didn't say anything.
I didn't even notice.
You're throwing out so many letters out there, right? So it's like SGC, CGC, HGA. I'm like, okay.
PSA.
Can you imagine an HGA graded?
Hey, Karen.
Hey, Karen, like, what would that be? But yeah, it's very.
If it was an HGA high grade, I wouldn't crack it because if you crack it, it's probably a PSA 2.
Yeah. But it's super low pop, right? Like there's like maybe 50 comparable ones. The Hank Aaron in 2021 it sold for 206,000. 2022 there was a sale for 192. May there were, and then the one that just sold is 204,000. So over 2 years, it's kind of kept the same value. But there's something interesting. There's a little caveat. February of this year, another card in 8.5 sold for 144,000. So significantly less. And I think that's because in vintage, eye appeal is everything. So just because you have 2 PSA 8.5s side by side, one can be worth 204,000 and the other's 144. So which one do you like? Which one do you want to have in your collection? You're only allowed to have one of them.
I'll go my collection.
I'll go first. I have my thoughts wrapped up here. Okay, so there has to be some perspective here, right? If 200,000 or 250,000 is like what your collection is worth now. So you are a high roller, but this is like the upper echelon. Like you're going to trade your entire collection for one singular card. You have to assume you have to go with the Hank Aaron, because if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket, I think you should be prudent and be safe. And it's easily the Hank Aaron. But I'm going to assume if we're talking $250,000 cards, we're going to be responsible investors. And this is maybe like worth 10% of our, or 5% of our collection, or 1% of our collection. And if that's the case, and we're just throwing out $250,000 like this, for me, it's Ohtani for sure. I think Ohtani is on that pace to greatness, and also on that pace where, in terms of investors, like we're now feeling very confident about putting money, and putting a lot of money into Ohtani. And I'm of that opinion too. I think I am all in to get a nice grail Ohtani. I'm there. So I think, we're talking the upper echelon of Ohtani collectibles. And this is a type of card. Yeah, there's more risk at hand. But again, if you're being a responsible investor and this is only a little percentage of your collection, I think the upside is just too amazing on that Ohtani red. I think that's a card that could be $1 million in the future if, once Ohtani's career is all said and done and he didn't have a catastrophic career-ending injury and all things went well. I think this is the upper echelon big boy card that you're looking for. So yeah, it's Ohtani for me.
Wow. That's a huge F, man.
Yeah.
If he doesn't. So I'm going to go for Hank Aaron, because I think it's recency bias. Like, he is killing it this year, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm me personally, I'm FOMOing hard. I'm always looking at Joey cards. Yeah, I want to buy one so bad. I'm I'm ready to pay a small premium for one. But at that level, no, I can't take that much risk at the red out of 5 level. And because of that, because of that huge risk, it just makes more sense to invest in a Hank Aaron. And for me personally too, like when I got back into the hobby, Hank Aaron's one of my grail cards. Like, I love the look of the card.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
and
card.
At the PSA, 8.5, the vintage in that condition, that's a beauty. So, and plus, vintage in general, we talked about this in a previous episode. It's the only set of cards right now that's kind of recession proof, like the better vintage cards are vintage baseball players, and their general trajectory is like just either steady or going up slowly, kind of like mutual funds, right? So, so I'm gonna go with Hank Aaron. But man, if I had all the money in the world, for my PC, it's a color. I'm a sucker for color match. I'd choose Shohei, but if I'm being a reasonable investor, I'm gonna go with Hank Aaron in this case.
Initially I was gonna handcuff you guys and say it has to be a PC item, or it has to be like you trade away everything. You can only have one card in your collection forever. But I like that I didn't do that, and you guys kind of tackled it from different ways, because that's kind of how I was thinking about this, which one I would want. And so the Ohtani, like you said, I'm FOMOing so hard, and this is legitimately his. I mean, we could argue his second best card. There's the 1/1 Superfractor Auto, and which I did some research. It got pulled in 2018 and got sold for $145,000.
Oh man,
I think it's 184 actually.
Oh, 184. Yeah. And then if you just say okay, let's price that the same as Mike Trout's Bowman Chrome Draft Superfractor Auto, I think that's sold for what did I write in my notes? $3.84 million.
Right. Yeah.
So if that guy kept the card, he's 25x right now.
Yeah.
25x 184,000.
Yeah.
He opened it from a $200 hobby box. Oh my god! Like that, you know, when you were talking about the your scenario, would you rather? I was actually playing out the scenario of being that guy who sold the 1-of-1 Superfractor auto of Shohei Ohtani. I wouldn't sleep. But anyway, regardless of all of that, I'm with Hank Aaron. I'm with Clark.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love
I can't
that
believe you guys
Shohei
know.
card, but that Hank Aaron, and he's like, Shohei is gonna be, I don't know, like he might become the GOAT one day.
He could.
But
There's a potential.
But
Yeah,
Hank
for
Aaron
sure.
is legit the GOAT.
What?
You
Okay,
know?
hang on. What's the pop report on anything above 8.5 across all grading companies on Hank Aaron? Less than 100, I assume, right? Or
Yeah,
is
I
it
gave
even,
it- I
is
gave
it
it
even
to
less
you.
than that?
So
Yeah, well mentioned.
27,
40.
Oh, you
Probably.
gave it to me. Sorry.
Yeah, 32.
Totally glossed over that. I think the HGA
40.
thing
Okay,
kind of
so-
screwed me over.
So greater than 8.5 across SGC, BGS, and PSA. It's 2 PSA 10s, 25 PSA 9s, and 5 SGC 9s. That's the only grades that are higher than.
Yeah, it's low. It's low.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's super low.
And in Otani's,
I like that.
we don't even know if all 5 reds have been pulled, right? So this is
So I saw
a
an
top 5 card.
PSA. There's a PSA 6 and a PSA 9. That's on PSA's pop report. I didn't look.
pretty sure
I
there's
didn't
a
look at
BGS.
BGS. Yeah, I'm sure there's a BGS. Right.
I would buy it. I wonder how much a PSA 6 would go for.
100,000 easily.
$10.
Damn.
So low.
I was gonna buy it.
So low.
I was gonna buy it, but you said 100K. Oh shoot! I like that. I like that 1v1.
Yeah, that was good.
It's a fantasy 1v1. All right. Well, I got this. I'll end off with my pick one. It's also kind of a fantasy because I don't know if we all have thousands just lying around to buy this card. But on one side, I'm picking the Luka Doncic, the Blue Prism, True Blue, number to 199, PSA 10, versus the Michael Jordan Fleer, iconic Fleer rookie card. And I believe I gave you guys the PSA 9. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to double
Yep.
check. Yeah, PSA 9. And the reason why I chose it, because at the peak, they ended around the same amount, like 79,000 at the peak for MJ Fleer PSA 9. It's going for about 13,500 now. So that's a huge drop. Pop count, just under 3,000. Right? Luka Doncic, of course, is the lower pop count, 38 for PSA 10 out of the 199. But it's also going for just under 13,000. So in terms of last sold, it's around the same amount. And at its peak, it also sold for close to 80,000. So 78,000. So at its peak, sold for the same amount. Right now, they're kind of going for the same amount. But the pop count's significantly different. One's more iconic than the other. Which one are you going for?
Oh, this is
man.
tough.
This is actually very similar to the last one.
Can I go first?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I think the Jordan card, there's way too much pop. And I think there's a lot of hanky-panky going on with Jordan cards. Like, in terms of people like trying to uphold its value, and like they're hoarding like hundreds upon hundreds of Jordan cards. And I mean, the pop, like, it's 3,000. It's too many. So I think there's something fishy going on there. I don't trust the numbers. I don't trust the price on it. Luka's card is numbered. It's out of 199. It's blue. It should be such a great card to have. But the last time I was on the podcast, I said this, and I'm glad nobody picked up on it. I think Luka's overrated. I don't know if he's actually that good, guys.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Oh, no? Oh, okay.
No.
I thought I was the only one. Everyone's always like, look at this, look at that. And basketball's the sport.
You're alone on the podcast.
On this podcast,
Yeah.
yes. You're alone on this podcast.
out of the podcast.
On Twitter, you're not alone. That's for sure.
He's not that good.
Oh, I don't know about that, man.
Wow, hot take.
Not that good. He's not Jokic.
I don't know about that.
You know, he's like his stats look amazing. His flashy passes and plays look amazing, but I don't know that he makes his teammates better. I think Jokic makes his teammates so much better.
That's fine.
I actually don't think that highly of Doncic or Jason Tatum. I put them on the same level as, and this is the hobby hot take that I'm taking, or this is my, I'm never going to be on the podcast again. I put them at the same level as Trae Young. I think they're all the same.
Wow. Okay.
Whoa.
Cut his mic. Cut his mic.
So I'm in a tough spot because I think that Jordan card's a little fishy. And that Luka card, it does look really nice. So I don't know. Ugh. I pick.
You gotta choose.
Oh, I picked the Jordan, but I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about either one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The Jordan.
Who invited this guy?
Oh man. Okay, I respect that pick though, Jordan.
You know what? I like that because Will is of that opinion, and it's that opinion that is driving down the Luka prices right now. And me as a believer in Luka, I want to see more of it because I want to see that blue prism drop to a number where I could potentially obtain it. Right? I'm with Will though. He does make a good point, and maybe not anything is going on fishy with the PSA 9 Jordan, but perhaps there is something. I mean, we know, like Jason, what's his name? Jason Kuntz from OTS Sports. I know he's got a big pile of PSA 10 Jordans, and there are big time collectors out there that have hoarded these cards that can, I mean, that's the advantage of having the pop control is that you can, manipulate prices, and it's not nothing evil. It's just that's the advantage you have if you own 100 out of the 300 pop, right? And I think that certainly drives whatever it is the price of the PSA 10 is certainly going to influence the price of the PSA 9. This is tough too because I think if you're talking investment and you're talking it's a little ballooned, and there's like Hyung would say there's a lot more to come down in these cards. I think both are in the same boat. If you argue that there's more to come down in the Luka, I think you could say the same thing about the Jordan the PSA 9. Now, with all that being said, this is tough. This is really tough because I think for the three of us, for anybody, the Fleer 86 Jordan is like an all-time grail, and to have like basically a near mint card of it, man, that's like a dream come true. But at the same time, I think Clark and I, for me, I definitely believe in Luka, and whatever is said about somebody like Luka is exactly what was said about somebody like Kobe Bryant. It's the exact same words that are coming out. He can't, he hogs the ball, he controls, right. he does everything, like he's not a winner because he can't win, and doesn't make his teammates better. It doesn't matter. Like special players are special players for a reason. They, they might hog the ball, but there's a reason for it. If you watch Dallas games and you get frustrated, if you ever watched Laker games when in Kobe's era without Shaq and you watched Dallas games, it's the exact, I have the same feeling, like down to the wire. There's like, you're down by 5. Luka's hitting shots every time. Then the next play down, he's like, okay, I'm going to pass it off to somebody else for once. Brick. I'm going to pass it off to somebody else for brick. Kobe's coming down, hits like 2 threes in a row. The Lakers are down by 4 with a minute. I'm going to pass it off to Nick Van Exel. Brick. It's the same story. Like when you're the stud player and you don't have that confidence in your teammates that they're just not hitting shots. Like you're just like, okay, give me the damn ball. I'm not going to take every shot from here on in. It's just the way it works. So I think that is just the life of being a stud, man. Like that's just how it's going to work until he gets the proper team and the proper construction of a team. So I am liking that people are hating on Luka and calling him he's not him. He's overrated. I like it because I'm going to pick the Luka Doncic blue because he's got the upside.
Even with the Kyrie experiment, eh? Kyrie's player, man.
Kyrie's, I don't know. He's something else. We kind of knew that was going to happen. Either it was going to be amazing or it's just going to be, it's going to self-destruct.
Implosion.
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
Who thought it was going to be amazing? I don't think anyone thought it was going to be
I don't think anyone really did, but did.
There's
I think
potential.
Luka fans were hopeful that this maybe this could be it.
I don't like that Kobe comparison because I love Kobe so much.
Kobe was so polarizing, man. I love Kobe, but it is what it
was
is.
polarizing.
Kobe looked
for
around
sure.
and was like, "Man, my teammates suck," and he dropped 81 points on us and won the
Right.
game. That's the thing.
It's the wraps.
Luka's not going to win the game for you.
But that's what he was doing this season. He dropped, like, what did he drop? 66 or whatever? I don't know what it was, but he won the game. And the next game, literally after that, he dropped like 51 and he won the game. This is pre-Kyrie, but he was willing his team to victory.
I'm not into rings culture because obviously my favorite player is DeMar DeRozan, and I don't think he'll ever get a ring. But let's just I think DeMar might end up with as many rings as Luka does. So
Hot
Oh,
take.
wow.
Hot
Okay.
take.
yeah,
Hot take.
Kobe-
All right,
Kobe
I'm
had
going to break
5.
the tie. Luka's still young, right? Okay. I'm going to break the tie. I'm going to go with the Luka Blue. I agree with your assessment though, Will. Like for me, it is the pop count that bothers me at 3K. Like I've seen other cards at 3K that just balloon during the hype and just come crashing down. I still think has ton of room to go down, even for a 1986 Fleer MJ card.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, the numbered, the cards that that are scarce, not inflated by grading and everything else. I feel like that's got to correct itself to a certain point, and I think Luka could go down further, but I don't think it's going to drop as much as the PSA 9 just because of the pop count. So I'm going to go with Luka Blue and the color match. Remember, I'm a sucker for color match. So it's Luka all the way. And this is Will's last podcast on Cards to the Moon. For the Luka hot take. No, we love you, Will. You're always invited. You know that. The fans know that. But yeah, another great show. Thanks again to all our listeners and subscribers to Cards to the Moon. We appreciate you guys. We love getting all the positive feedback we've been getting lately. And if you haven't rated us and you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we'd love for you to give us 5 stars and tell others about this podcast. Until the next one, which is probably, I think, Friday. Yeah, we'll see you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.